So today we'll be having our March edition of the soft skill webinar, and our topic today will be going from a data professional to a project builder, or to becoming a tech founder. And also, in the age of AI, we'll be touching up on AI and they are building data career in this AI era as well. And Mr. Francis, you said I should stop saying Mr. Francis will be taking us through it and will be talking about his journey from being a data professional, being a data analyst, to being an engineer, to being a founder. And yeah, I hope everyone gets their pen and paper and start writing the moment you start speaking, because we are going to be getting a lot of nuggets. We are going to be learning a lot today, and we are going to be getting a lot of important messages and lessons that could change our careers. So I would like to introduce to you Francis, a data analyst, data engineer, and a builder who is also building data flow IO. Is it data flow or data frame IO? Flow frame. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
That's fine. That's fine.
Flow frame IO. Please help me welcome Francis Atoyebi, please.
Thank you, Fola, for the introduction. It's exciting to be here speaking to everyone. Yeah, I'm going to, I believe I'll share my screen, right, to go through the slides.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
cool.
Share your screen.
Yeah, I'm just going to go straight to the slides. All the introductions are also in the slides, so I don't think it's needed for me to try to introduce myself. Yep. Please let me know if you can see my screen. Yep, awesome. All right, so first thing is, I usually like starting the presentation or a talk like this by talking about what you're going to learn first, or what you're going to get away. And then by the end of it, we can now evaluate if you got that from the talk or not. So yeah, I'm just going to start. So basically, the first thing I'm going to try and ensure that everyone gets away from here is that data is not dead. And we all need to realize that data is actually the foundation of AI. So if you can learn it, then you can leverage it. And then the second thing is, your edge as a data person is your technical skills, basically what you can do with tools, how you think for your organization you're working for, and how you communicate your solutions. And then the third thing is basically AI is your friend, AI is not your competition, because, you know, I'll give you an analogy as to why this is very important. The fourth thing is, building something real is your fastest way, right? Yes, you have to learn and then you build, but then that's your fastest part. Visibility matters a lot. Many times visibility is even more important than the skill you possess. And then the opportunity in tech and data is actually wide open, especially in places like Nigeria. And we're going to also talk about that. So basically, these are the 6 things that I think you get away from it. These are my own conclusions. And throughout the course of this presentation, I am going to try to tell you how I came about these conclusions. So the first thing is my journey in tech. Well, my name is Francis. I started out as a data analyst, but now I'm founder of FlowFrame, passionate about helping people find clarity from data, because data is actually very important, even more so now in the age of AI. I started with curiosity. I stayed because of the impact, simply because, think about how much impact you can achieve with data if you do it the right way. So how it all started, let's start with the super story. So yeah, on my end, personally, I was a student in university and I was just having fun until when, just going to classes and doing the normal stuff until when a friend of mine told me that there is a boot camp happening organized by Data Science Nigeria. I think it was hosted in Lekki. There was a resort in Lekki that we went to and we were there for like 4 days. And that was my first introduction to data, right? That was my first ever introduction to data analytics and to anything data analytics. And that was the first time I was building machine learning models. And I was doing interesting, cool stuff. So I was very happy with my life back then. And everything was interesting. But then gradually I started realizing that there are a lot of challenges. For example, I had a friend that was like should I say 3D developer or something like that, but he builds 3D models. When he builds 3D models, he can show you that, oh, see the 3D model I built. But then on my end, when I build machine learning models, I realize that if I want to show somebody what I'm showing the person is the code. So that's the first problem. The problem is how can I show somebody what I have done? That was one problem I faced. But either ways, so that's how I started Data Science Nigeria Bootcamp. And from there, I kept on going, right? I tried to make myself available and allow people to know what I am doing. And I worked on so many projects. Some of them I'm going to share with you guys. But one experience that stood out for me during my early years was speaking at Data Science Nigeria, sorry, not Data Science Nigeria Bootcamp, speaking at NCS, Nigerian Computer Society. So basically, they invited me to come and give a talk on business intelligence. And as at that time, personally, I have only worked with Python. I have never done anything with Power BI or with Tableau or with Looker or any of those tools. I've only worked with Python and SQL. So I went for the event, but 2 days before the event, I actually taught myself Power BI overnight. And so that's the first lesson I say you should take away. The first lesson you should take away is not about learning the skills only. It's about having the thinking behind the skills. Because if I did not have the thinking behind each of the skills, it's not possible to learn Power BI in about 2 days, enough for you to go give a lecture. So after the lecture, at the time I was giving this lecture, I was doing NYC. So I was in Ibadan. I was in Ibadan. I was in one of the rural areas in Ibadan. We don't usually have light. So basically, gave the talk, beautiful stuff, was very happy with myself. And then I graduated from university, and that's where the challenge comes in. Because I studied mechanical engineering. I did my internship at ExxonMobil, but I knew that I'm not going to practice engineering. That's the first thing. Every other person in my family were working in banks, and they were big people in their own areas and stuff, but they were all working in banks. And I'm like, I am never going to work in bank. So what am I going to do? I started looking for a job. It was not easy. That was one of the toughest times because, you go to LinkedIn, you apply to so many jobs, you go to Glassdoor and all these places. Overall, eventually I got 2 opportunities, but then I went with the opportunity to work with a company called Multipro. I'm sure many of you know Multipro, but if you don't know Multipro basically are the guys that produce Indomie and all those other stuffs. Working at Multipro was very interesting for so many reasons. But the first reason is because they use Excel, strictly Excel for analysis. So as I told you before, I have only used Python, SQL, and I have also learned Power BI. But now I need to learn Excel. And I have like 1 week to the interview. I got to the interview. They were asking me to do pivot table in Excel and stuff like that, which was not too challenging because of the little exposure I have with Power BI to be able to speak during that my NYC event that I was invited to by the Nigerian Computer Society. I was able to pass the interview and I got into the system and I started working there. I worked there for like 1 year and 9 months, I think. But this is what I want you to take away. What I want you to take away is that as at the time I was leaving Multipro, my manager asked the head of the data team to come and meet me and ask me, how much do I want? And what do I want that is making me to leave? And I told him, oh, I have to leave, I want to leave. But I had my own reasons, right? But the idea I'm just trying to say is this. I got in there not knowing Excel, but when I was leaving, every other person that I met there that was working as the national data analyst, I was already teaching them courses. So rule number 1 is if you're going to be doing something over and over again, never use the wrong tool for it. You need to use the right tool, because the problem they all had was they knew Excel, all fine and good, but they were not utilizing Excel to its full capacity. So every time their manager comes to them, because how it works there is that you have a national sales manager, and then the national sales manager is going to be assigned a data analyst, which is going to be the national data analyst. So I was a national data analyst. That's how I started my career. So the national sales manager wants to do an analysis. Okay, I want to see how much we sold yesterday. And then these people will go into Excel, they will download data from the database, and they will start wrangling the data. Every single day, the national data sales manager comes and is like, oh, I want to see how many sales they made yesterday. They do the same thing over again. They do the same thing over and over again. But when I got in and I saw that, okay, I know that this man is going to ask me the next day, I want to see how many sales we made. What I did was I used Power Query to automate it. And what I do every morning when I get to the office, download the updated data, replace the data, and click refresh, and everything gets populated. So at some point, I even gave it to the national sales manager, and I'm like, oh, this is how you do it. Just download the data, put it here, click refresh, and you see the new numbers. And now it doesn't come to meet me anymore. Now I have all the time in my hand to learn other things. And which is why I was able to now also like try and influence the organization to see if people could actually go beyond using Excel to maybe using more complicated tools. So that was like the first part on that front. It was quite fun. The experience was fun, and it is actually a very good place to work. So if you get the opportunity to work there, go work there. So that was my first job experience. Then my next job experience was working at a startup, and it's called MDoc. At MDoc, which is when I left Kellogg's, I went to MDoc. At MDoc, it was different. Now I was in my element, because at MDocs, they used Python and SQL. Beautiful, I loved it. Doing fantastic work and stuff like that. But as a Nigerian, like you can't stay in one place. Not that you can't stay in one place, you should stay in one place. But I got something better, because at MDocs, I was trying to introduce machine learning to what we are doing, because they were not doing machine learning. But then an American company reached out, or I applied to their job, and I got the job. And their project was very interesting. Their project was basically trying to do what ChatGPT is doing with data. But what ChatGPT did for all data sources. But they were trying to do it for a specific data source, which is the economic growth data source, basically social impact and stuff like that, and different projects that governments are doing and what impact those projects are having. And it was the most challenging project I ever did in my life. I did not complete the project even after I left, or even till I left, because sometimes some projects are just beyond you. And basically, I think if you don't take anything away from everything I'm saying, I think you should take something away. It is important for you to go into an organization and give your best. Whether you're being paid well or you're not being paid well, when you go into an organization, do your best, because those are the people that are going to refer you in other places. Because when I was leaving this other organization, for example, when I was leaving MDoc, similar thing that happened at Kellogg's happened. When I was leaving Developmetrics, that's the name of the company. When I was leaving Developmetrics, the US company, the CEO reached out to me to say, what exactly do I want? Like how can we make it work? Because at the time I was leaving Developmetrics, I was already in the UK, right? I was already in the UK. I already had an offer from Chelsea Football Club. So the CEO of Developmetrics was saying, oh, how can we make it work and stuff? So as at that time, the CEO said, okay, no worries, work for Chelsea Football Club, but we want you as a consultant and you'll be working for us part-time. So I was working for Chelsea, and on Friday I was working at Developmetrics. And then at some point, the CEO reached out and said, okay, no worries, we want to make you an advisor. Yeah, so I did that as well for some time before a lot of things started happening, because the company Developmetrics was working a lot with USAID. So when Trump became president, everything that happened with USAID, so I stopped working with them. So I focused on my work at Chelsea Football Club. And Chelsea Football Club was was beautiful. Like, I think if there is one thing I can bring to Nigeria is the international experience. Because as much as we've got a lot of smart people in the country, when you get out of the country, you realize you're not the best. You're not the best. I've left all these other companies and I feel like, oh wow, I'm so good, I'm awesome. But then when you get to Chelsea Football Club, it's like everything changes. A lot of people are so smart, a lot of people are so intelligent and whatnot. And then I left Chelsea Football Club after it all. I left Chelsea Football Club and now I currently work for a scale up. And in this scale up, it's even more challenging. So at Chelsea Football Club is where I transitioned from being senior data analyst to being a data engineer. So at Chelsea, I moved from data analyst to data engineering, and now I moved to this other company. Now there's a difference between data analytics and data engineering, even though both of them might be using Python, or you might be using Python in both of them. The difference is that a data engineer is basically someone that is a software engineer, but is using his software engineering skills on data. So which means if you're going to become a data engineer, you need to be able to write good code. You need to be able to do the things that software engineers are going to do. You need to write your Python code the way software engineers write them. And then you are still doing your data behind it, because most of the data engineering roles will require you to still use DBT. And DBT is basically you using SQL in a beautiful way. So like there's that difference there, which means there's a little bit of learning to do on that front. But the key thing I did at Chelsea, which I'm sure they still look at and they still work with, is that the database at Chelsea and the data pipelines at Chelsea were not the best. They were just one pipeline and it gives data. Okay, so this is how I can explain it. So in the data engineering world, what you want is either ELT or ETL. ELT means extraction, load, and transform. ETL means extraction, transforming, and loading. Basically, think about it. You extract the data from the source, you transform it to something that the company wants, or you do some cleaning on it, and then you load it to the database. But then the other one is you extract the data, you load it either to a database or to a data lake, and then you transform it. So that's ELT. So, but then at Chelsea, the type of system they had when I joined was basically you have the extraction layer, you have one transformation layer, then we load it to the database, and then we're doing another transformation afterwards. And then we put it into Looker, and sometimes inside Looker, we do an extra transformation. So transformation is happening in multiple places, and that's a big problem. And the problem is that when the data is not correct, and something like when the data is not correct and you're trying to fix it, or you're trying to figure out where the data go wrong, you have like 3 or 4 places that you've done transformations and you have to go check those 4 places, and that's not good. So at Chelsea, what we did was we kind of like tore down the database, and then we redesigned the database to use a strict extraction, load, and transform system. So we extract with Python, we load it into Google Cloud Storage using Python, and then we transform it using DBT. If you don't know DBT, I would advise anyone that doesn't know DBT to take some time to see if they can learn DBT. It's a good tool for anyone to know. So Chelsea, and then now I am working at Validis, and that is where I'm doing more of data engineering, which is like very strict data engineering. Super interesting, super intense. Most of my week, I finish my week every Friday. I'm tired. I just sleep very early and I wake up very late. So yeah, but basically that's it. So that's my journey. I literally started from grass to grace. Now, but one thing you will notice is I never said I had certifications. Yes, I went to Data Science Nigeria Bootcamp, and after Data Science Nigeria Bootcamp, because I was still a university student, what I did. So this is my journey. I did Data Science Nigeria Bootcamp. The year afterwards, I was doing my internship at ExxonMobil, right? So while I was doing my internship at ExxonMobil, they paid me money, so I had some money. I used that money to pay for Data Camp 1 year subscription. So I paid 1 year subscription on Data Camp, and throughout the years afterwards, I literally was just taking courses and courses and courses and courses on Data Camp. And that was also how I kind of like got myself thinking like a data person. But after that, I did not do courses anymore. If I did any other course, it's basically courses on like maybe other things that are not related to data. For example, there was a time I was trying to learn front-end engineering because I was working on Flow Frame and I needed to learn front-end. So yeah. So there are other courses I took, but I did not take any course. I did not do any other certification, right? So what was the differentiating factor? Like, why is my portfolio slash CV different from any other person's CV and portfolio? Why was I able to get a job at Chelsea? Why was all these other organizations, thinking about, telling me to stay and all those other things like that? I think if I can give you a direct reason, I think the reason I'll give you is basically some of the things that I have said earlier. But then I'm just going to go to the next slide because some of them I got the answers here, like the answers are here, right? So these are part of the things that helps me to move faster in my career, right? So the first thing is like I try to like check some boxes, right? As a data analyst, you don't want to be repeating things. That's something I've said before. So which means you probably want to learn Python, right? And if you don't learn Python, if you're going to be using Excel or if you're going to be using any other tool, you want to ensure you know that tool so well that you can create automations in those tools, because that is going to save you a lot of time. And it is going to give you the opportunity to work on projects that your manager and the organization will appreciate and will make them think, okay, yes, this person is worth us hiring and keeping. So basically, learning all these skills like that, this is for me when I was starting. As I said, I knew only Python and SQL. DBT is basically SQL on steroids. And then data visualization, as I already told you, I never knew Power BI. But now actually I know these three tools because I used Power BI a little bit towards the end of my time at Kellogg's because I already like maxed out everything I can do as a data analyst. So I was allowed to work with the Power BI team a little bit. And then when I moved to the US company, I was working a lot with Tableau and at Chelsea Football Club. They were using Looker, but they moved away from Looker and now they're using Power BI and Omni. Omni is another business intelligence tool, basically. Understanding the business KPI, basically. So when you get to an organization and let's say you're working in the marketing team, there are a couple of questions I would say you need to ask yourself and you need to ask your marketing manager. Or whoever you're working with. And the questions you need to be asking are important because that is how you can know how much value you can bring to the team and where they are lacking, because you need to be solving their problems, right? That's the only reason they've hired you. They've hired you to solve a problem. And the sooner you figure out what problem they've hired you to solve, the better it is. So you join a new team, the question you should be asking is, okay, why was I hired? Like, what problem do you want to solve? What is the issue we are having? Like, why did you open this role? That's the first thing. The second thing is you need to talk to the non-technical people so that you understand the business from their lens. You are a technical person, which means there is a challenge. You might not be seeing things the way they are seeing things. So the earlier you ask the question, the better it's going to be for you, making them happy and fulfilling their goals. So that's the thing about understanding business KPI. Then the last part, although I said building pipelines, when I said pipelines there, because the thing is, many data analysts think they don't build pipelines, but you build pipelines. It's just that you build pipelines in a different way. Because think about it, if you're using Power BI, right? You probably get the data from, let's say, Google Sheet or somewhere. You get the data into Power BI, you put it into Power Query, and then in Power Query, you transform the data, you clean it, you do a lot of transformation, and then you now load it. After loading it, then you now build a visualization. Do you know what you've done? You've extracted the data from Google Sheets. You've loaded that data into Power BI. You've transformed it using Power Query, and then you visualized it. So basically, you've already created a pipeline, and then you built a dashboard, right? So that's already like what many people don't see that way, but that's exactly what you're doing. So you're already building a pipeline. It's just that your pipeline sometimes is manual and you need to make a pipeline automated, right? So that's why you need to build it in such a way that it is easy to update the data, transform the data, and add more data to the existing data. And it's not rigid. So that's going to be another thing like automation. Then the soft skills. Soft skills that are important is storytelling. The problem with this slide is that everything you're looking at in this slide, I am sure you've heard it from someone else or one thing or the other. Basically, these are not new things. These are things you know. These are things you already know. And these are things I think everyone should do. And as I've said before, no matter where you're starting from, no matter how much you're getting paid in your job, no matter what it is, you need to give you 100%. Because the way I always tell people is the interesting thing or the outstanding things you do in your current job is what you're going to use to get your next job, right? So for example, when you go to the interview and they ask you, okay, why should we hire you? You could easily, if you've automated processes, you could say, oh yeah, this whole pipeline used to take a long time because we have to do it every day, but now I have automated it and now you just click a button and you get what you want. The improvements you make in your current job is what is going to make your next employer hire you. And that's very important because that's how you want to see it. Right. So basically that's it. I think that is my story. I think that's the end, I guess. Yeah, that's the end of my story. I don't know. Maybe I should pause. And if anyone have any question, and also so I can drink water before I go to the next part of it. So I don't know if anyone has any question or I should just continue to the next part.
Okay, please cool. Continue.
All right, cool. So the next part basically is data in the age of AI. First of all, I was struggling to make the slides, so I decided to put random pictures of myself at different parts of the slides. So yeah, you see my face a little bit more, and then yeah, that'll be it. Yeah, cool. So data in the age of AI, I think AI is something that has come for everybody in the tech space. Let's start from there, right? AI is something that has come for everybody, and there is one question everybody keeps asking, right? In this age and time of AI, should I really be learning data analytics, right? And that's a good question. That's a very good question. But I think what you need to realize is the question isn't really about should I still be learning data analytics or not? The question is there a competition between data analytics and AI? If you see that there's a competition there, then I would say you should rethink the way you're thinking about AI. I'll give you guys a quick and mini should I say course on what AI is and how AI works. So what is AI? What is the thing that right now we call AI? AI is basically a probabilistic model. And what that means is that it doesn't know anything. What AI does every single time is when you ask it a question, it looks at your question, it looks at itself, and it's like, okay, what is the first word I can put out there that rhymes well to continue what you've written? So if the next word it thinks it can put out there is A, then it will put A out there. And then it asks itself that question again. And then it puts another word, puts another word, puts another word, puts another word till it forms the entire sentence. Or till it forms the entire corpus of words. So AI is quite probabilistic and it just looks at, okay, what's the best word I can put out? And that is why every single time you ask AI the same question, it will never give you the same answer, no matter how simple the question is. Except if you limit its option and say, okay, you must say yes or no. Otherwise, it will always give you new answers because it is just looking at itself and looking at probabilities. And it's like, okay, what's the right one? And then it gives you the first one, give you the second one, give you the third one. If you've used the AI to write code before, the same thing. Give AI the same problem to write code for. It's going to write different codes every time. So now let's go into answering that question. So the question is, should I still be learning data in the age of AI? Yes, you should be learning data in the age of AI, now more than ever. Yes, everything is evolving, everything is evolving and a lot of things are changing, absolutely. AI generates outputs, but somebody must interpret what AI has showed, like what AI is showing on the graph. Many people are not data savvy. I have met a lot of, CTOs, CEOs, and everything, but they don't really understand data, right? They don't understand data. That is just as simple as that. They don't understand the difference between correlation and causation, and many data analysts too do not know that, but you need to know that, right? Correlation and causation are different. I'm not going to tell you the meaning. I think you can Google that. But the idea is you need to still learn data because it's a skill. Like I was speaking to Fola the other day about this, and I'm like, everybody from this time onward must know about data for so many reasons because data is going to be all around you. That's the first thing. The second thing is business people most of the time don't understand data. That's why you are a data analyst. That is why you are a data professional. And that is why you are being hired. That is why there are so many jobs out there looking for data analysts, looking for data scientists, looking for ML engineers, looking for all these things. It's because many people don't understand what you know, and what you know is important. But then there are other things that are changing, right? Should I be like, there are other questions that I can ask you. Like the question is like, should I be building that more dashboards or should I be driving adoption? Like these are questions you should just be asking yourself as a data analyst. If you're already working in an organization, but otherwise that's fine. When you get there, these questions will make sense. But it's like when you're in an organization and you're the data analyst, what you want to do is more of driving business decisions, more of driving business growth than just building more and more and more dashboards, right? That's the first thing. The second thing you want to be doing is that you want to be educating the people you're working with, because most of the people you're working with, they don't know how to use Power BI, right? They don't know how to use these tools, but you want to educate them so that to an extent, they can use these tools. And it is important for them to be able to use the tool because that is the only way they will not be coming to you every day. There are so many reasons why you should actually go. Sorry, give me 1 second. Looking for, oh no. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, found it. Yes, there are still so many reasons why you should still learn AI in the age of data, and I'm going to get to them later. So if I go to the next slide, so now this is how to stay indispensable, and this is why you should still be learning data in the age of AI. The first thing is you need to realize that AI is not your replacement. AI is a co-pilot, right? And there are so many speech or things you can listen to give you this idea. For example, I was at an AWS event, last week, and the topic is basically AI. And I was like, oh no, like there is no need for software engineers anymore. AI can build software. A lot of people were saying that. And somebody was like, human needs will continue to evolve. Human will continue to want more. So even though we have AI and it looks like there is no need for software engineers anymore because I can go to Lovable and I'll tell it, build me a website, and it builds me a website. Or I can go to, Cursor or whatever the tool you are using is to do these things. The overall idea is human beings want more. That's number one. Number two, because AI wrote the code, does not mean that AI is responsible. If you build an application and you put it out there and you're charging people $50 per month or $10 per month or whatever amount you decide to charge, and there are issues in the data or in the application, maybe it leaks data or something, when the lawsuit comes, the lawsuit is going to come to you. It's not going to come to AI. I don't know if you get that part. So the idea is, yes, AI is going to be able to do a lot of things, but AI is not going to replace you because you are the person. You should see yourself as, should I call you an orchestrator or should I call you a project manager? Because the idea is, even if, let's say, you're building your dashboard, I don't know if it's possible to build a dashboard with AI now, but let's say you're building a dashboard for your company with AI, and then you use AI to build a dashboard, and then you did not check the analysis, you did not check the query, you did not check the code that AI has written behind the analysis, and then you just decide to give it to your manager. and your manager looks at it and is like, oh no, we made a lot of profit last month. Our profit is now this, that. And then they increase everybody's salary. And then they went to the bank account and they realized that, oh no, we don't have the money. Then you've lost your job. So AI is not your replacement. AI is just going to help you make your job faster. So a couple of things. So you need to use AI to like automate repetitive tasks. There are a lot of people that I know that are software engineers, and they have always been complaining that they are tired of writing code. That writing code seems like they are doing the same thing every day over and over again. But now with AI, they can actually delegate that task to AI, and all they are going to be doing is reviewing the code that AI has written. You need to focus your energy as a data analyst, focus your energy on what AI cannot do, because AI is coming for all of us. And it's not coming for all of us because we have been told AI is coming for us, but it's not coming for us. As I already explained earlier, it's a probabilistic model that is just trying to predict what is the next word to put next, what is the next thing I need to do next, which tool should I be calling. So it's not coming for us, but you still want to focus on what AI cannot do. Don't forget that there was a time that if you want to have a portrait in your house, you go to a studio and then you sit down and you pose. I don't know if you've seen those pictures of your parents and your grandparents. They'll go to the studio, they'll pose, and then the man will take the camera and take a picture and print it out and charge them a lot of money. And that's some people's, idea. That's how some people were making money. But then phones came around, and now anybody can take pictures. Nobody go to studio anymore. Even if you go to studio, you don't go to studio so that you get it printed. When you go to studio, you get a picture and you keep it. And even if you want to get it printed, you can now print it by yourself. I don't know if you're aware, but if you go to Google Photos, you can actually create a yearbook for yourself, like put multiple pictures together, and Google will print it for you and send it to your house. But like photographers cannot say, oh no, therefore there must not be cameras in phones. Phones must not have cameras, stuff like that. Don't forget that there was a time whereby people used to do mathematics with their head without calculator, and that is the definition of being smart. But then now that everybody has calculator on their phone, does that mean that those mathematicians should be like, oh no, people should not have? No, people are going to have access to AI. AI is here. AI is also going to be something everybody's going to have. So your bet is not to compete with AI, but rather to be better at what AI cannot do. What can't AI do? AI is not best at creativity. Many people think AI is creative because AI is pulling from the creativity that humans already created and it's out there in the public. You are the one that needs to be creative. That's the first thing. Second thing is judgment. Many people use AI and allow AI to make decisions for them. AI should not be making decisions for you. You make decisions for yourself. Because if AI make decisions for you and there's a problem, you are the one that is going to still be, dealing with that problem. The other thing is you need to experiment a lot. Like play around with the tools. Don't feel like, okay, these tools are too much. Don't waste your time on every tool. Like play around with the tool, get familiar with the tools, because imagine you're in a company, right? Just giving you an example here. Imagine you're in a company and nobody is using AI, and you came around and you started using AI. You'll probably be faster at delivering things than the rest of the people in the team. And that is going to be good plus for you. So that's part of the reason why you want to learn AI. The second thing is you want to be the one driving AI adoption wherever you find yourself. So you're in an organization and it seems like they don't care about AI, but you think there is a problem that you have in the company that maybe you can use AI to solve. And if you don't use AI to solve it, it would have taken you 6 months. Use AI to solve it. 1 week, show your manager, let your manager tell you what he thinks about it. The idea is you want to be the one driving adoption, being in front of this innovation, because the truth is, whether we like it or not, it is here. And whoever is driving that innovation, whoever is staying curious to learn AI and use AI to solve real problem, is going to be the people that are going to win. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to position yourself and to get noticed. I was talking about portfolio the other time as well. And this is, as I said, like as I said before, so many things I'm saying is things you probably already heard. But when you're building your portfolio, how do you think about it? Do you think of your portfolio as just the projects you've done in class, or do you think of it as something that that you need to really think about and come up with. So I'll give you examples. So for me, for example, I had the opportunity of Ken G. There's a guy called Ken G. He reviews people's portfolio and he does YouTube video on them. I had the privilege and he reviewed my own portfolio and he's also on YouTube. Now, when he reviewed my portfolio, he reviewed everything in my portfolio, but then when he got to some part, he himself posted. So one of the parts that I posted on was a couple of projects, 2 projects, I think. The first one is I took the chart, because at the time, my girlfriend, I took the chart that we were chatting from WhatsApp and I analyzed it. And if you think about it, many people have done sentiment analysis. Many people know about sentiment analysis. But are you using your sentiment analysis to do the same thing that you've been taught in class? Or are you using your sentiment analysis to try and solve a problem? Or it's not even a problem, it's just a fun project. You know, take the chat between me and my girlfriend as at that time, and I use it to do sentiment analysis. And I put it on my portfolio and it was beautiful. That is one of the projects that I have on GitHub that people kind of like starred or cloned the most. So that's like the first project. And the second project that I found that they find fascinating is something similar, but this time for Big Brother Nigeria. So everybody watches Big Brother Nigeria. Everybody's fascinated with Big Brother Nigeria, and everybody's like, "Oh, Big Brother Nigeria is there, is there." I don't watch it. I'm not interested in it. I don't really care. But I know it is happening. So what did I do? I did a project that I was pulling all the data from Twitter, as at the time. I pulled all the data from Twitter and I analyzed it to see what we win Big Brother Nigeria based on what people are saying. That's also different. As I said, a lot of people can do the same project, but if I am looking at the same project over and over and over again, you're not going to stand out. So the first thing is you want to put yourself out there. When you're putting yourself out there, are you putting yourself out there the same way every other person has done it? By doing the projects that you saw in. How are you putting yourself out there? Are you doing the same project that you have seen in Data Camp or in Kaggle or in every of these other places? Or are you doing your project in a different way that makes you stand out? Whereby if anyone sees your project, they're like, okay, this is new. We've never seen this before. Like, this is awesome. Something like that. That's part of the things you want to be doing. Second thing is you want to document your thinking, right? So when you're thinking, when you're thinking about something, when you're thinking about your projects and the way you're selecting it, you want to document it. It's important. And the reason is because you can use this thinking to write stories around your analysis. Many people, when you do your analysis, you just draw the chart and you do the dashboard and you leave it there. But then if I'm looking at it and I don't understand the story you're trying to tell, then there's also going to be a problem there. So to an extent, you want to add a little bit of context / story / how you are thinking about these things on your dashboard, one way or the other. How you do that is up to you. The third thing I would say is like, you want to communicate and share your journey. Like, go to LinkedIn, post it there, go to, events, physical events or virtual events, whatever it is, go to those events, ensure you are noticed, talk about what you're working on, talk about the things you're doing, talk about yourself. Like, there's something someone said like, if you're not hyping yourself, nobody's going to hype you. So you're already doing a lot. You're already trying to learn data analysis. You're already struggling with all the changes that are happening in the world, AI, everything, so many other things happening, right? Your life is probably also complicated. You're already struggling with all those things, but you need to still hype yourself to get yourself in the right position to get you going. So that's it. So in the age of AI, these are part of the things you could be doing, right? Like, focus your energy on what AI cannot do. Put yourself out there regarding what you're doing. Try to ensure every of your projects stands out, not just copy and paste of what you have been taught in class. Just try to ensure you are different, if I can use it that way. And that is what will help you. And then don't forget, you're not competing with AI. And also, AI is not your replacement. To a great extent, AI is a co-pilot. You're going to be working with AI together. And I think that's like what I'm going to say. Then I'm going to move on to myself, which is going to be the last part, which is flow frame. So the thing is, I am just a random person, normal guy, doing my I started flow frame while I was at Chelsea, by the way. So I was doing my normal work at Chelsea, and at Chelsea I felt like I saw a lot of problems and I tried to solve some problems. And some of the problems, the way I felt like I could solve them is by building something. And also don't forget, for me, flow frame is not a business. Neither is it a venture I think that I am looking at as where I'm going to make money. Because I don't know, I just enjoyed what I was doing. So there are so many times that I'm working on Fluffy and I'm not sleeping till like 3 or 4 a.m. or something. It's because I'm just enjoying it. And I'm fascinated at how I am, initially how I was writing code, new code, because I've never written JavaScript before or TypeScript. But then how I am learning new things and using that to like build something like this. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is there's something one of my friends used to say. His name is Wachichi. His name is Amida Roshegbe. Wachichi is like, Francis, we need to put Africa out there. Africa is not doing enough. Like he's like Power BI is by a white man, Tableau is by a white man. All the big things are by white men. And he's not a data analyst, by the way. He's a software developer. So he's always like, Africa needs to do more. It's like if you go into Python and you look at most of the libraries used in Python, none of them came from a black man. And it's like, or most of them did not come from a black man. And it's like, we need to put ourselves out there and create our own libraries. Like, why using pandas? Why not create your own pandas? And stuff like that. So it's quite challenging. So for me, it's like, this is one of the ways I felt like I could also contribute to the ecosystem and try and put Africa one way or the other on the competing stage. So first thing is what is FlowFrame, or what was I trying to do with FlowFrame? So the thing is, in many data settings and in many data organizations, there's usually three things that you find in our data and in our work. You find opacity, you find isolation, and then you also find rigidity. So opacity, what does that mean? When you are showing me a dashboard as a CEO, for example, and you tell me we made sales of 5 million, like, yes, I trust you, absolutely. But if you ask me, do I know how that guy calculated the 5 million? I do not know, right? I am just trusting that whatever numbers you are showing me is correct, right? Which is fair because that's what you're hired for, right? And stuff like that. But to an extent, you also want to carry people on the journey and make them see so that they also understand how you're calculating it. Because we've had problems before whereby the CTO, or sorry, the CMO says that they are getting this amount of engagements and stuff like that. But when we did the dashboard said, no, you're not getting the amount of engagement. At Chelsea, there were times where we said, oh, we've sold out the stadium. But then the dashboard says, no, we still have these 6 left that we've not sold. So there is a need to ensure that you carry people along in terms of how you do these calculations. Because what was happening was that the tickets people were seeing some part of the stadium that were being like reserved, but were not yet paid for, as already sold. And from our end, we are like, no, if it's not paid for, it's not sold. So it's like, there's conflict there. And if everybody is able to see the analysis and be like, okay, we can see that this is how it is working, then maybe that will make sense. The second thing is isolation. I asked someone a question and I'm like, if 2 or 3 people want to work on a, Power BI dashboard, how do you go about it? And for me, that's like a tough question because most times it seems like one person is working on one Power BI dashboard, and another person is working on another Power BI dashboard. Not to say that Power BI is not good, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say that there's a lot of isolation when it comes to data team, unlike in software engineering. For example, in software engineering, I can be working on the sign-in feature while someone else is working on the sign-up feature. And both of us will commit our code and there will be no conflict. But in the data world, you have a lot of isolation and a lot of fragmentation in that regard. And then the last thing is the current business intelligence tools are very important, but we need a playground. We need a platform whereby people can, come in and play with things and just experiment and do stuff and figure out things rather than the dashboard has been created. That's the end of the story. On to the next dashboard. We need to see beyond that. So now the solution basically is trying to like build something that is transparent, collaborative, and explorative. So transparent in terms of you should be able to see what you're analyzing and how it's going. Collaborative in terms of multiple people should be able to work on the same thing at the same time. And then explorable in terms of even people that are not data people should be able to make use of it and do some form of analysis on the data that you're presenting to them. So yeah, so basically transparent, collaborative, and explorative. That's basically it. Yes, please, if you can check out flowframe.io. I would love to do a demo, but I'm not sure I want to do that. But yeah, but like if you want, please check out flowframe.io. And maybe if we have 5 minutes, maybe I can just share my screen a little bit more and go there and show you like a couple of the things that I'm talking about. But otherwise, all good. I hope, let me go back to the beginning of the slides. I hope that I have been able to, prove to everyone that firstly, data is not dead. And with AI, you still have an edge, which is that, your technical skills, understanding the business and communicating your value. And also like AI is not your competition. AI is just going to help you to do better. I hope I've been able to communicate basically all the 6 points I've written out here. I hope I communicated it. And if you think there is a part of it that maybe I did not speak about a lot, you can let me know and I can try to, speak a little bit more about it. And thank you very much for, coming here and listening to me just ramble and ramble and ramble. Awesome.
Thank you so much, Francis. That was really insightful and impactful as well. And yeah, I really like the part about what you said about AI, that AI is not our competition. We need to leverage it and whatever we do as well. And you said something about we should do what AI cannot do, like going to events, talk about what we do. We should talk about ourselves. We should put ourselves out there. Yes, that really stood out for me. And I have some questions as well. So I would like to ask that, do you have any advice for someone who is a data analyst or a data person who wants to build products, maybe either an AI product, a data product, or whatever product it is, and how can they get inspiration?
Okay, cool. So first thing is, if you want to get inspiration, I'll start from that one. You should look at yourself and look at the problems you are facing, right? Don't try and solve a problem you've not experienced. Trying to solve a problem you think exists is a big pitfall. So firstly is like, solve a problem you know about. So it's either you are experiencing a problem, or maybe your mom is experiencing a problem, or your friends are experiencing a problem, or your auntie, or your whatever, basically a problem you are very, very close to, so that when you're building your solution, you are sure your solution is solving that problem. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, if you're going to be solving a problem, what's it called now? If you're going to be building a product, I would ask you not to do it the way I am doing it, because I am making a mistake, right? I am currently making a mistake, and I know my mistake, right? But then I'm going to tell you the mistake. And the mistake is, don't build in isolation. If you go to any of my social media platform, you will not find Flowframe money, right? But that's not how you want to build. When you're building, you want to build with your full chest. Like, you write the first line of code, go to LinkedIn and be like, I just wrote the first line of code of this my product or solution I'm trying to build, something like that. So like that's, for me, that's the advice I would give. And also the last advice is prototype. Build with AI, because AI can build 10 times, 100 times faster than you. Even if you are the best developer, AI can build way faster than you. So build with AI, and don't try to be perfect. Whatever you build, ensure it's not perfect, but then get it in the hands of the people that will be using it as soon as possible. Build as fast as you can, get it in the hands of people, and build in public. That's Those are the three important things that I would say. And in terms of inspiration, try and solve a problem you are familiar with, not a problem that you're not familiar with.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. If there's any other questions, I think you've touched up on some of the questions I sent to you anyways about AI, how can we build a product as a data person, how can we go from having the skill to getting into the career, getting a job. You've spoken about putting ourselves out there, building projects, not just any project, not what everyone is building, but something unique and special to us. I think you've touched up on almost all my questions. Please, if anyone has question, please drop it in the chat box and I'll be reading it out. Please, any question before we bring this meeting to an end? This has been amazing. Okay,
My chair. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I am so excited to be here to listen to Francis and everything that we've talked about today, because we have to learn from each other in the tech ecosystem. We have to collaborate. And I think Francis already touched on that because we've been lagging in that aspect of collaboration. And I just want to encourage everyone to check out FlowFrame. I know I checked it out some weeks ago. And if you're really good with Tableau, right? Like it's just very similar. It's just drag and drop, and it's so easy. But I think one part I was still holding Francis up to is I want to upload a CSV file and I just want it to give me analytics, right? Then as a data analyst, I can now decide to, cross-check what has been done, move things around a little bit, because I think some challenge that beginners in data analytics have is choice of color. They don't know how to, put the colors right, how to kind of create a storytelling analysis. So if we can have something that already give them the base. Mic check, can you hear me? Hello?
Hello.
All right, can you hear me here? Okay.
Yes, I can.
So if we can have something that give them the base, right? I think
is it me or is she breaking?
Amazing platform. It's an amazing
Remide, you are breaking. We can't hear you.
Platform. And knowing that okay, sorry. I'm switching between devices. Is this better? I think for me, that's it. Right? Because every of these tools
Okay,
your
cool.
network
I think
is
I got
bad,
that question.
Yes. Is this okay
I think
now?
I got a question
Okay.
because we've chatted about it before. You ready? Okay, cool. So yeah, so let me try and address that question. So yeah, so there's something along the line of what she said, along the line of what you have said, Iremide. We are currently working on something that we meant to, put to the public in about 2 to 3 weeks, at most 1 month, which is going to do exactly what you've said. And what we are doing is, as I said, like the way I see it is your co-pilot, and basically something you could, as you said, upload your XCSV or connect to your database and ask a question, and it would figure out which data to use to build the analysis and do the analysis for you. I think I showed Fola that the other day, but yeah, as I said, it's still in development, so it's not something I want to show everyone before it would, I'll ask it to show me analysis and then it will be showing me something else. But that was, yeah, so we're still working on that because it's quite, that's part of the reason I'm going to tell everyone that data analysis is still important, because it's quite a tough problem to solve, because you also want to be able to capture the intent of the question that the person has asked. Somebody can ask a question, but they intend something else, and you want to ensure you capture that and you present the solution in the best way as well. So yeah, but like, absolutely working on that. Don't worry, when it's done, I'll let you know, and maybe you can share with everyone on the call.
So, Francis, someone is asking, how do you attract companies in need of data analysts, knowing that you have no experience as a data analyst? I think this person is a beginner who is looking for opportunity as well. So, can you please answer that?
Yes, no, thank you. Good question. I think I was expecting that question, because if no one asks that question, then I will just assume everyone on this call, like, you've got a job and you're earning 7 figures and stuff like that. So the thing here is, I am going to be sincere with everyone on the call, and the thing here is, the data landscape is saturated, more saturated than 5 years ago, more saturated than 6 or 7 years ago when I was looking for a job, for my first job. Right now, the data landscape is saturated. So the point here is, it ties back to the question I asked earlier. What is the difference between you and the other person applying? That's the first thing. The second thing is, you also need to know that there is a little bit of luck in terms of getting a job in the world today. So for example, like, if the last time we opened a job application at Chelsea, or a role at Chelsea while I was still there, we had a lot of people that applied, and which now means that you have a lot of people that are having good skills that are looking for jobs. Some people are even overqualified, but they are looking for, like, the junior role. So what does that mean for you as an entry person? If I am going to do it again, and I am here today and I am listening to myself speak, and I can advise my younger self, I think there is one thing I'm just going to tell myself. I'm going to share the story of one guy. His name is, some of you might know him, because I've seen some familiar faces on the call already. His name is Okweyemi Fabi. We call him Opiano. Basically, when Opiano was getting his job as a data person, he said the people that were interviewing him were looking forward to speaking to him, because they have read the things he has written about on LinkedIn, and they usually look forward to the next time he posts on LinkedIn. What does that tell you? It tells you that he has put himself out there so much that he has become a force to be reckoned with, even while being jobless, or even while being looking for a job. He has been able to make himself look like, I am a subject matter expert on this thing, even while he has not really done that much. And as I've always said, like, then when you get the job, are you going to be able to live up to that expectation? Are you going to be able to deliver? Most times when you get a job, the truth is, for the first 3 months, the company knows that you are going to be struggling, because you come into a new environment, you don't know anything about the environment. So you actually have like 3 months to go and learn anything you need to learn, anything you don't know. So the idea here is, like, first thing is, if you don't have any skill at all, learn some skill, right? Learn data analytics, learn Power BI, learn anything. And then the next thing you should be doing is go and learn how to have sweet mouth. I know it sounds funny, but you need to learn how to have sweet mouth, and you need to learn how to talk, and you need to learn how to write. You need to learn how to be able to put your thoughts on paper, right? So that when you are working on the project you're working on, and don't forget, don't work on Titanic data sets. Those are very popular data sets that I've seen everywhere, Titanic data set analysis. Don't work on those things. Like, try and think about something close to you. Do you want to analyze how much hours do I spend on my phone? What am I spending time on? Like you can do something that is interesting that other people are going to be interested in. You can think about the World Cup coming up. You are interested in football. World Cup is coming up. What analysis can you do with that? Do something different. Do something out of the norm. Do something that people don't usually like see every day, because that is the way you can actually stand out. When someone is looking at the CVs, they are going to see so many CVs, so many applications, so many portfolios. Why should they choose you? I think that's the question.
Wow, that is amazing. Thank you so much, Francis. That's
Yeah.
a lesson learned. Remy,
If anyone,
is there any other
sorry,
questions, please? Any other questions?
while people are thinking about their question, I can say that, okay, Emmanuel has a question.
Good evening, Mr. Francis. Thank you for having us, and thank you for the time. Please, my question is, I don't know if you're hearing me, sir. Yeah, thank you.
I can hear you.
My question is, you talked about working on different kind of data that other people might not have worked on, or if not actually be playing out, that is not popular. Now, some of these data, how do you get them? What's the source of the data? How do you source for this data? Like you also mentioned of working on some data on Twitter. You also talk about using some data, the chats you had with your girlfriend to work on sentiment analysis. How do you get those data into your spreadsheet, and how do you, like, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. How do you get to work on this data? How do you pull them? Like, how do you gather this data to make them meaningful and reasonable?
So yes, I have to say, like, fantastic questions. When people saw the analysis with my girlfriend as well, this is the similar question everyone asked. So the first thing is, like, data is around you, data is everywhere. That's the first thing we need to agree. Like, while we are having this call, Google is amassing a lot of data, right? Things I'm saying they might not be collecting, but if we had, like, let's say a summary bot in this call right now, the summary bot is taking all the things I am saying, it's taking the question you're saying. So basically, data is everywhere. That's the first thing, right? That's clear. So now let me go back to the core of the questions. You asked about, for example, let's say the chat analysis with my girlfriend, now my wife. How did I get the data? When I was chatting with her, first of all, that's the first thing to realize. When I was chatting with her, I wasn't thinking about it that, oh, let me chat with her today so that I can use it for analysis tomorrow. I was just chatting, right? Where the idea came from, I even don't know. And I don't even remember how I got the idea of doing the analysis. But what I know is, somewhere in my head, I thought about doing the analysis of the chart and putting it as part of my portfolio. And I went online to do some research, because this is part of it, right? Being a data analyst, you have to be able to do research. I went online to do some research, and I'm like, okay, how can I export my data or my chart from WhatsApp out of WhatsApp? Because the first thing is to get it out of WhatsApp. And then when I tried to export it, I saw that, okay, you can export as a TXT file. And after exporting it, then I used Python to, like, pass the data. I have to say, like, while passing the data, that was the toughest part. Cleaning up that data was tough because it's chat and it was a mess. So I had to, like, clean up the data and do so many things to get the data in the right state. But basically, I think the first problem is, if you can think of what analysis can I do? Like, if you say, oh, I want to analyze Champions League data, I assure you, go online right now and Google Champions League data. You'll find some data somewhere that everybody's not looking at. If you say you want to analyze one data or the other, you find data somewhere. And the more desperate you are, the more you find it. So, for example, you could also go on Reddit and ask questions like, oh, where can I find free data on something like this? And people might suggest, yes, the data might not be fresh in terms of, it might not be data that is from the last Champions League or the current Champions League. It might be data from, like, let's say the past, from like 5 years upward. But then, like, at least you have something. And then if the idea is really unique, even with, although the data is old, you'll still be able to present something that people will be interested in. So that's it. So in terms of getting the data, I think data is around us. Data is everywhere. It's up to us to think of where can we get data from and which data can we use. That, I think that's the first question. I don't know if there's another question. I don't know if the question is only where can you get data. Like if it's only where can you get data, then you can get data from anywhere. Just think of the project. If you want to find the data, I am sure you will find data somewhere.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome, Emmanuel. So while other people are thinking of their project, I think Ire Mide is saying I should do a quick demo on FlowFrame. Let me see if I can share my screen again. And I'll just quickly walk you through it. The only challenge is my current FlowFrame workspace has too much analysis. So basically, if you let me log out. No, settings. Let me log out, and so if you come to FlowFrame, this is what you see, and then I'll just sign in with my email address, and then it takes me to this place. So basically, this is where I see all the projects I worked on, and these are just some basic or simple analysis I'm trying to just play around with myself. Let me see. There is one that is here. This one. Yeah, so basically these are just basic stuff that I'm just trying to play around with. But overall, when you come to FlowFrame, this might be empty, and then you'll be able to load the sample data we have on the platform. And then there's connections. This might also be empty. Then you'll be able to create your own connections. And after you've created that, you start with the connections, which can be a spreadsheet or a cloud connection, be it BigQuery or MongoDB. So if I switch to this workspace, for example, we have MongoDB here. So yeah, but like the idea is you can create a group workspace or Teams workspace so that you can collaborate. But this is my own personal workspace. And in this personal workspace, let me create a new project. So let me just call it yeah. So I create my own project, and then I see this blank space. If you don't know how to create your first frame, you can click here. There is no AI in this workspace that I'm using right now, but then I have, as I said, there's a version whereby has AI in it, but that's not yet available for public use. So on this side of things, you can see the connections you've created. And if you click on any of the connection, then you see the tables in that connection. So if I choose, like, let's say BigQuery has schemas. So the first thing I'm looking at is the schema. And if I click on the schema, then I see the tables under that schema, right? Now, if I want to create anything, I can click on what I have here and drag it. So basically, it's simply a drag and drop platform. And if I click on it and I drag it, you can see how fast it is. It is running on SQL queries. So this is a select star from this table. So it's quite fast. And okay, you might say, okay, this is just 70 rows. That's why it is fast. But then I'm going to bring in this other guy. It's called Flight. It's a 1 million row data. And as you can see, it's pretty fast, especially for spreadsheet. It is extremely fast. So with that, you can basically, the way I try to talk about it is like it's a Canva for analysis. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do with this, right? You can decide to add another one here. And the idea behind it is for people that are like, for example, if you want to write a complex SQL query, but you don't want to write it at once, what you can do is you can start with the base table and then add a subquery to it, and then add another subquery to the subquery, and you can keep going. You can keep going for as much as you want. Like you can keep adding more and more. And the idea here is that the result from this query is what is being used here. So like we have this result. So I could say I filter this guy where arrival date. So I filter here, let's say the arrival delay to be greater than 500 minutes, and I run this. Now I have only 151 rows, and as you can see, everything here is also 151 rows because they are just querying from here. So if I add another filter here as well again, and let's say the departure delay is now less than 500 as well. This is greater than 500, this is less than 500, and I run this. Now we have only 11. So basically, I could continue doing several transformations along the way till I get to what I want finally. And the other thing is, you've also got visualization in terms of you can add a visualization here. And when you double click on this, it shows you this sidebar. On this sidebar, you can drop your x-axis and drop your y-axis. So I can drop date and let's say arrival delay. And if I run that, I get a chart. It's showing a small line because I'm using the day, but the month, but then I can use day of the week, which would give me 7 lines. So I put this aside and I bring this here. And then you could format this into whatever you want. So you could format the x-axis, format the y-axis, could decide to turn off the grid line, turn it off. Basically, I'm not going to be going through all this because you have only one column, so there's no need to have legend, but you could add multiple columns. So I could add departure delay as well here, and I run this, and then we have both of them. And now you have the legend. You know, that specific, you can bring your own custom palette and, you know, choose the color you want for that custom palette. It's quite customizable. There are still a lot of work we are doing on it. So definitely, like, I would really appreciate if you spend some time just to play around with it. Like, we really, really appreciate any feedback we get. We're trying to make it as good as possible because, as I said, the goal is not to just create something and be like, oh, it is built by Africans for Africans. I really, personally, I don't like that. I want to build something that is world standard, that can compete on the global stage. And I really appreciate everybody on this call. I appreciate your help in getting this platform from this point that it is right now, which I think is good. But I want to get it to the point where, you know, it's competing on the global stage. And for me, that's just it. Like, genuinely, that's just it. Yeah, so basically, as I said, a couple of transformation, you can make it smooth. There are a lot of transformations you can do on the visualizations itself. You can, you know, make it smooth. You can make it curved. You can make it to become steps. Yeah, so it looks something like that. But either way, yeah, that's it. If you've got any question, please feel free to ask me. And that's it. Yeah. So basically, like, yeah, you go from SQL to visualization. You don't have to like think of any other tool in between because right now, you have your database separate, then you write, I don't know, but basically, I don't know how you work in your own organization, but I've seen different ways people work. And also, I think Flowframe is going to be, oh, sorry, one important thing I actually did not show. Look at me, what a clown. So one important thing I did not show is the fact that if I add a new query on this guy, I need to refresh this page. Sorry, give me 1 second. Something's off. I think it's, yeah, okay. It's now in. So if I add a new query here, I can come here and I can choose because it can easily get complicated, right? So you can come here and choose what you're looking for. And you can rename each of these things. Like that guy, you can change the name here. And it will update. But because it has already been referenced, it would ask you. So it will update the reference as well so that it doesn't break the referencing. So now I'm coming back to what I wanted to show. What I wanted to show is the fact that when you click on visual, you actually can expand this, and it's a no-code alternative to everything you've seen so far. So you can choose the recipe mode, which means you choose the table you want to start with. So if I choose that, and then I can add new component. So I want to select columns. I don't want all the columns. I can select the columns I want. Okay, I want to aggregate the column. I want the sum of this, the average here, and I want the minimum here, right? I can add aliases to everything as I'm doing it. And then if I scroll down, the group by is automatically done. So you don't really need to understand how SQL even works. And you can do that. And you can also preview the SQL it has generated for you. And basically, this is the SQL. So you close that, and you run this. And now you get the new stuff we've done. So overall, like this is what it is. I know there are still going to be so many things you find out that I cannot find out, I cannot see, which is why, as I said before, and I'm saying again, like, really appreciative. You guys could give feedbacks, use it, give feedback. Okay, I'm not sure my email was at the end of the presentation, but I realized I did not get to the end of the presentation. So if I go back to the presentation, so if you have like any feedback, feel free. Okay, actually my email is not there. What a shame. But yeah, I can give you guys my email if you want. Or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn and I will be happy to connect. Yep, so that's it for me. Oops. Yeah, that's it for me. I hope I've not really been too boring. I know I can be boring and
Thank
serious
you
sometimes.
so much, Francis. This has been an insightful section. Actually, I used it this morning to create a dashboard. I connected the CSV file on Flowframe.
Nice.
So we'll drop our feedback. Please don't forget to use it. And I think Iremide has dropped the link in the comment section. Wait, yes, it's been pinned. So you guys can check it out as well and share your feedback to Francis at Toyebi on LinkedIn. Yes, I think that is great. It's been a wonderful session. I've learned a lot, and I think everyone has learned a lot as well. Please, thank you everyone for joining. Iremide, I don't know if you have anything else to say so we can wrap up. Oh, sorry. Someone said, can Flowframe be used as a portfolio?
You know, the truth is, like, I did not plan this, but yes. So when you do something on Flowframe, let me share my screen one last time. Oh God. Oh my God. Right. So let me share my screen one last time. Good question, actually. Very good question. So, for example, you know, I did this, right? Using basically, I did this. So I could click on share. And as long as the analysis is no more than 50 MB, then you can click on continue. It generates this link. I'm going to copy that link. I'm going to drop it here. So any one of you now can click on that link and you see what I've done. So basically, you can use it in that way as a portfolio. The other thing is you can, if, for example, you're doing your analysis and you do your transformation here or here, and you don't want it to show, but you want to see the, what's it called, the visualization, you can actually come to this side of things and turn off the ones you don't want to show, and you see only the visualization, and that's it. And anytime you want, you can turn it back on as well. You can also group things together by selecting everything you want to group and using this to group it.
Is there a way
to
do it in a way where the analysis, the content of the analysis is written on, like the insight, like a comment?
Yeah, you can add comments. So there is a text box. This is a text box.
That's amazing.
And yeah, you can write anything on it. You can format the background of the text, change the color of the text, increase the font size to whatever you want. I'm reusing it. So it's basically up to you how you want to use it. Yeah, you can expand that and just do whatever you want to do. You can format the text the way you want or whatever. Change the fonts as well to whatever fonts you want. Yeah, basically, yeah, like that. It's almost anything you have here as like some formatting option. For example, with this, I can decide I don't want you to see the query, and I hide the query, and now it's just a table. So same thing here, and I hide the query, and it's just a table. And for example, if I put this on top of this, but I want this to be on top, you can also use this to bring this to the front or send it to the back. So yeah, so it's like, now it's not showing at all because it is now behind even the, what's it called, the group node. And you can also use this to change the color of the group node background. So yeah, couple of customizations you can do if you want to customize, and you still get the functionality of a white space to do anything that you want to do. I hope I did not miss out on anything, but if I did, something we are working on is a documentation page. And if you go to FlowFrame, you can, if you go to FlowFrame, you can see the documentation page as a link there. You can see the documentation page as a link there and stuff like that. So yeah, that's mostly it. I don't think I have more to say.
Thank you so much, Francis. Everyone, I would like you to us to unmute our mic and say thank you to Francis for this amazing and impactful session. Please unmute your mic and thank Francis. Thank you so much, Francis.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you. So I would like to hear your feedback, everyone, on this session. And let's always remember, it's not just about learning, it's about building, growing, and creating impact. And I hope everyone have a great day and have a great weekend. Thank you, Francis. Have a great weekend and have a great week ahead. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.